All right, welcome coders. Today we are talking about 3D02, which is designing a box, an SVG box. Now, what is an SVG box? Well, you can see an example right here. You're going to create a box that has a lid with the graphic of your choice cut out of that lid. So as you can see here, I have the Reaper from Overwatch. I cut out the logo for his character right here into the lid of the box. This is a double of the lid so you can see what it looks like when it's just by itself. In this case, I have a little lip that prevents it from closing all the way, and it should stick out of the box a little bit. That's up to you how you're going to design it, but you need to make a box that slides out, as you can see here, and you're going to create a little doorway, so to speak, for your box to go through. And on the inside of your box, you're going to have these little slots. And the slots make it to where the lid will slide into the box and it won't come out. It should just slide right in. You could have it to where the logo is facing, like mine here, it slides in with this towards the top. Or you can make it the other way to where the image is on the other side. That's totally up to you. But the goal for your project is that you create a slotted box that has a lid that has some type of graphic that you find on the internet that we're going to convert into a scalable vector graphic. All right, so now that we know what we're going to make, let's talk about what a scalable vector graphic is and a raster graphic. You can look this up online pretty easily if you just open up a new tab into Google and type in raster vs vector. There's two main kinds of vectors. I'm going to go to this vectorconversions.com definition. It's pretty clear what's going on. When you're working with pixels, you're filling in, or when you're working with a raster graphic, you're simply filling in pixels on a grid. As you can see here, there's a grid that's kind of shown. And what it ends up looking like is this. It's kind of jaggy looking. You can see there's a lot of different levels of black and gray in here in the raster graphic. In the vector graphic, it's very smooth. And the nice thing about vector graphics is that they're also scalable. So you can make something, a very small drawing, and you could potentially blow it up to be the size of a billboard or a skyscraper. So the main thing to know is that most of the things that you find on the internet are going to be raster graphics. They're going to be, whenever you do an image search on Google, for example, it's going to be this jaggy kind of graphic, which is a bunch of pixels that are filled in. Vector graphics have to do with the ratio of one point to another. So basically it works with curves and it works with the location of where lines can be. There are some limitations, as you can see here. With pixels, you can get very clear difference in color. With vector graphics, everything is very smooth and based off of points, so it's a little bit different. Depending on your application. But the key that we're going to learn is that we're going to take these raster graphics and convert them into these paths, which then we can scale up and down. It makes it very smooth, but also it makes it to where we are able to put an image into a 3D space and expand it so we can stretch it to make it as big or as small as we want. And that's what we're going to do with this image here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find an image that I want to use as my graphic. I've already found that. What you can do is you can go online, just go to google.com. You can do an image search and find a black and white image, preferably. Maybe something that's a logo. You don't really want to go for a photograph. A photograph will be very difficult for our program to turn into a raster graphic. So you're going to want to use something that is a simple black and white logo, if possible. So in this case, I'm going to use my own logo that I have. I'm going to create a new document in Adobe Illustrator. So to do that, I'm just going to click down here on my Start menu, and I'm going to search for, I'm just going to type in IL, and you're going to see that Adobe Illustrator is going to pop up. Illustrator is going to be the program that we use to convert a raster graphic into an SVG, or a scalable vector graphic. The raster graphics are what you're going to find all throughout the internet whenever you search for an image, and a vector graphic is something that we can stretch to make it more useful. They also use this a lot in stickers and decals. A lot of SVG graphics are used for that because you can scale them very well without getting them looking choppy or really blurry. So I opened up Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to drag it onto my other window here so you can see it. So here we are. I'm just going to go up to File and Open, and I'm going to find that image file that I'm going to use to convert to an SVG. Now, when you find an image off of the internet, you're probably going to find it in your downloads. You're going to find your decal sticker or whatever you're looking for. The JPEG that you saved is going to be in there. In my case, I have it in another location, so I'm going to go to that real quick, and here it is right here. All right, so I have my picture. You preferably want to make it a black and white image, or at least something that's high contrast. That is, there's an area that's going to be white and an area that's going to be dark colors. Really, we can only work with two colors to do this. Either there's going to be a hole cut out of the object, or there's not going to be one. So really, you have to just work with either it being a hole or it being there. That's why black and white images work really well. If you have something like this, it may still work if it has a little bit of color to it. You're just going to have to kind of work with the image that you have. Now, once you load it up in Adobe Illustrator, you're going to click on the object here in the middle. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see this thing that says Image Trace. You're going to click on Image Trace, and you can just pick black and white logo if you have art that is just a logo. If there's something that you're specifically trying to recreate, like maybe it's a sketch, maybe it's line art, maybe it's shades of gray, you can pick those. I'm just going to pick the black and white logo here, and you can see that it changed my image a little bit. It tried to trace around it. But some of the details were lost. It's a little bit blocky in some parts. It changed a little bit. So I'm going to show you how you can refine this image that you're creating. If you go over here to the right-hand side where it says Image Trace, you're going to see this little panel, the Image Trace panel. If you click on that, this is going to pop up. You don't really have to worry about any of these presets or anything. All you have to worry about is this threshold slider right here. So if you click and you drag it in a direction, you'll notice it doesn't seem to do anything. You actually have to let go of the slider for it to make its effect. So if I go this way, you can see that it's making it more dark. It's making it fatter, so to speak. And if I go to the left side, it adds more detail, but it might take too much away if I go too far, as you can see here. So you're going to have to find yourself a happy medium of something where you like what it looks like. It's version of a trace of your image. I like this one. This is getting pretty close to what I want. So I'm going to leave it right there. That's a pretty good level. You're going to have to find the threshold level for your particular image. It's going to be different. All right, now that I've done that, I'm going to go up here to File and Save As. And I'm going to save this in an area I can find. I'm going to save it in my Pictures folder. And instead of saving it as an Adobe Illustrator file, I'm going to click on this Save As type and change it to SVG for Scalable Vector Graphic. I can also rename it. I'm going to rename this MC Logo. And now it's called mclogo.svg in my Pictures folder. I'm going to click on Save. And then for this screen where I have different options, you don't have to play around with this at all. Just press OK. All right, now it's created a SVG graphic, or a scalable vector graphic. Now we're going to go into TinkerCAD and we're going to see how we can import this in. So here I am in TinkerCAD. I want to create a new file, so I'm going to do that. I'm clicking up here on TinkerCAD on the waffle. And I'm just going to click on Create New Design here. All right, so now I have my work plane here. I'm going to first name this, so up here on the top left, I'm going to click on this random name that it creates. I'm going to change its name. I'm going to call it SVG Logo Box. I'll also put my name in there. It's a good idea to put your name in there, so that way I know when you turn it in whose thing is whose. There we go. So we have McDowell Logo Box. It's an SVG, a scalable vector graphic. I'm going to click on Import here on the top right. And I'm going to click on where it says choose a file, and I'm going to go to where that picture is saved. It's in my pictures folder, and I called it MC Logo. Scroll down there. So there it is right there. It's an SVG file. It will only accept SVG files, so you have to make sure that you pick that. I press OK. Now there's a chance that your file may be too big, and it'll tell you that down here, that the dimensions can only be 1,000 by 1,000. So if it says that it's too big, all you have to do is come down here and change the dimensions right here. Change one of these numbers to 1,000, and it will. You want to change the bigger number that's here to 1,000, and then it will shrink your image down to where it will work. So I'm going to click on import after that. And here you can see that I have that logo that I had listed in Illustrator, and it looks pretty close. I don't like that over here on the left-hand side it chopped this totally out, and right here it left it somewhat in like it's supposed to be. So I'm going to go back and refine my image one more time because I don't like how that turned out. It's not quite what I wanted. So I'm going to go back into Illustrator here, and I'm just going to change that threshold. I'm going to move that over just a little bit. There we go. I can also go into the advanced section here, and I can move around these sliders, and you'll see that they also change what's going on here. I'm going to make my corners sharper, but I'm going to put maybe some less noise in there. I want to make it to where I can have this part connected. All right. That's looking pretty good. All right, now that I've refined my mask, I'm going, or my trace here, I'm going to go back up to File and Save As. I'm going to save this as Logo 2. Save it in the same spot. Then I'm going to go back into TinkerCAD, click on Import, and I'm going to choose that logo, MC Logo 2. There we go. It's an SVG. I'm going to import this in. We'll see how it looks. All right. I like this one better. It's chopped out a little bit here, but that's okay. You can still tell that there's supposed to be stuff back here. So I like that. That'll work for me. Now it's time to turn this into a lid for a box. So I can keep it this way if I want to. The way that my image works, it looks like I may lose these little holes right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out of a bigger, or I'm going to basically put a box inside of this so it fills in this empty hole back here. So I'm just going to grab a box and drag it. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller or thinner here. That's probably good. Let's see what the dimensions of this one are. These are 10, and this is going up to 5. So it's going to be about halfway, and that will work for me. I'm going to drag this over, and I'm going to make it bigger. And you'll see that now, if I group these things together, it's not going to cut a hole through the entire thing anymore. It's just going to go halfway. So that'll look a lot better. It'll work really well for me as a lid. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to select both of these shapes here and just group them. So now I've got this one lid right here that is halfway cut through with my logo. Perfect. All right, now what I want to do is I want to make this shape the same size as a deck of cards. So I'm going to go into my grid here. I'm going to change it to inches. And I'll change my Replicator Plus preset here. Now we have our SVG graphic. We just have to build the box. We have to slot the box. And this lid is already basically created. We're just going to have to make it the right size. So I'm going to look up how big a card box is. Plain card size. And I can see that there are two standard sizes, 2.5 by 3.5 inches. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab a box and make it 3.5 tall. and 2.5 wide. There we go. This would be a size of a playing card as far as the outside dimensions. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into a hole. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to take this duplicated one, make it a regular size here, and I'm going to make this slightly bigger. Now to make it slightly bigger, you can choose the snap grid to make it how much it's going to expand by. If I hold down shift and drag up or down, you will see if I hold down shift and click on the top of this box here and drag up and down, it's going to make it bigger by 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Awesome. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to grab this hole. I'm going to put it right in the middle. In fact, I can align these two objects together if I want to. I'm going to make this one a little bit taller. You'll see that I need to maybe make this up just a little bit. Too much. I'm going to make it go up by half of that. So I'm going to change it from 1/8 of an inch to a 1/16 of an inch. And now when I move it up, it's going to go up half. Perfect. And I want to align these two objects together. So I'm going to select both of them, go to Align, and click on the two middle circles that are here. That's going to put your hole perfectly in the center of your other object here. It's aligned them together. Now if I move this down, you can see that there is that box still inside there. I get to choose how tall I want this box to be. I'm not really sure how tall a deck of cards are. I'm going to make my hole taller because my hole is going to go all the way through this, this topper. There's going to be a lid that slides in over the top. So I can make basically almost like a planter. It's going to cut a hole through the bottom of it. I'm going to make my box a little bit taller for cards here. There we go. I'm going to group these together. And you can see now that I have the same edges around everywhere. It's all chopped perfectly. Now if I want to put a slot in, all I got to do is make sure that this lid is the right size of a slot to fit in here. And then I can just make it into a hole and cut out the edges here. So that's what you're going to do. I'll continue this stream in just a few minutes. I have to let my class.